And that pig squeal means we are live. ZLS 045. Welcome y'all to the chat. Welcome y'all to the project. I've got some stuff up on screen right now, maybe a little bit of spoilers, but we're going to be doing this. I've got Phaser installed in our project, done some preliminary stuff, a little bit of initial research, and we're just going to take it from there. I'm going to come back to VS Code. And maybe we can just start by going into our Markdown file. We'll talk a little about things we want to accomplish, and we'll go from there. Let's see. Let me get this up. Very good. And we'll make a new file. Today is what? The 28th. 9/28, 2020.md. So in terms of what we want to do today, let's say first thing we maybe want to do is talk about changes to the project. The largest change is we've gone from React back to Angular. And maybe let's take some time to talk about this now. I really enjoyed working with React. Hey, Ellie Lucas, nice to see you back. Yeah, Phaser is really cool. Cool project. It's super feature rich. It definitely takes some getting used to though, and I've gone into it kind of deep in the past, but I haven't touched it in a while, so I'm looking forward to getting back into it. So yeah, it'll be a fun stream. But talk a little bit about the change from React to Angular. I think the biggest thing for the change right now was just there's some interesting stuff with the way React works with like the DOM, and it just doesn't play very well with Phaser. And I knew I definitely wanted to go with Phaser for this project. So especially functional components, you're kind of calling the function to create some like chunk of DOM that gets created, like put into the certain place it belongs when you run React. And I'm sure there's ways around it, but as of right now, when I dropped Phaser into the project, I was trying to attach the Phaser game object to a div, put it inside a div inside the project. And the way this ended up working is every time the render function got called, a new battle object would be created, and it was just like with that you could tell how many times it churned because there's that many canvases or game screens like the one we see here on screen. So I looked some stuff up. It seems like it's just kind of hard to get Phaser to play well with React. So I pretty much had most of the stuff we had been doing in React and Angular already, so I just decided to pull the trigger and go back to Angular. So that was the reason for that. That and wanting to actually like pick up some speed on this project, which was definitely super fun to learn React. And there's a lot of stuff I really liked about React after getting into it a little bit more that I'd love to explore with some stuff later. But like for now, I think just wanting to go to something where I'm more comfortable makes sense for this project. So Ellie asks, has my game engine always been Phaser? And the answer is no. My game engine is actually purposefully like framework agnostic. It's just TypeScript. So if we go into our game engine, I think we call it actually like a battle engine. It's not quite a game engine, I wouldn't say. It's like a RPG engine for trying to get through a turn-based RPG game. So if you break this down to what it is, like it's just kind of objects and functionality and like playing those against each other, right? So that's been what we've been building so far. The engine hasn't really been a game engine the way most people would think about it, like with the game loops and like making your sprites appear and stuff like that. It's more like a logical engine for like how should data move inside of our turn-based RPG game. So we're trying to close that gap now, bringing in Phaser. So if Elliot, maybe I misunderstood your question. Has my favorite game engine always been Phaser? Probably. Like I've found a little C# and Unity in the past, and I don't know. I never really liked C#. It's much of a Java in my mouth. So it is what it is. I like moving from object oriented stuff when I can. So JavaScript and still like really good at that. Being able to do like functional programming, being able to slip back into OO paradigms. It's just JavaScript seems super flexible or maybe in terms of all the different stuff. So, oh, and let's says nope. I gotcha. Watched a couple of your GameDev ones to recall saying, yeah. So we're just now getting into Phaser. So at this point, just been working on kind of like the HUD, like the head plays what HUD stands for. Just kind of, I think actually the web at this in some ways that a lot of game engines aren't, right? Showing stuff like a health bar might take some game engine, showing like I don't know, some structured data. Some kind of hard to do in a game engine. I think Phaser has some support for like that, but it's definitely like that's all the web is like meant for. It seems to me, at least. I'm really looking forward to do some cool stuff here. So yeah, that's that. And yeah, he says, I think that's an A for Angular for the win. Yes, it definitely feels more comfortable, but it's sometimes to learn something new. So I enjoyed my time with React. And Lars, you do, sir. It's late for you. Is Phaser IO also down for you? I don't know. Let's go with Phaser.io. I'm going to just tab over here so we can all see it. Maybe it's down. No, it's up. It's just you. Yeah, so too. So, yeah. So there's a lot of cool stuff in Phaser. They've got a lot of examples here, and their examples are actually quite neat. If you click on some of the examples, I think eventually we'll get to here like the game actually embedded in the website. And is it there? I don't know. There you go. Something wasn't making it load. So you can like this is kind of the neat thing about Phaser 2. It's like super embeddable, which is neat. Like, yeah, I'm actually playing the game right now. That's in this example. And I think if we look at the game, so it'll actually give you the actual code for this. Pretty neat. And I think we can go into, like, it's available on GitHub. I think there's also a place, if we go to edit, will that take us? Yeah, into kind of like this, almost like like a Stacklets kind of scenario where we can actually like change the code and hit relaunch. So pretty neat. Trying to take this and turn it into a good thing for my game engine, though. I think I identified an example that's going to work pretty well, but we'll see. Now let's maybe go back to the markdown file. Yeah, yep. That's as B-Man says here too. if you want to get to market quickly, which I'd love to, would love to get something up online for us to say, hey, check out the ZLS project, and there it is for anyone to get to. That would be super cool. So yeah, trying to get to that is my goal, and nothing to do with Angular versus React. I think they're both absolutely viable for any project. So it's all familiarity. Going back to our Markdown file though. So at this point we've in Phaser. And maybe let's take a look at what's going on with our battle right here. If we inspect, we can see, so we're back in Angular now, so we've got our like sort of named components. So inside of our, we have our turn list component. And let me make that a little bit bigger. That's better. Let's take this down. Let's put this on the bottom. I don't know if that'll work better, but yeah, you can see our turn list is up there. Our blue team is on the right-hand side. Battle's in the middle. Our silver team's on the left-hand side. Inside of each team, we can see there's just some units inside of there. So we can see here over there on the right-hand side of the screen, we can see Zach is lighting up when we hover over them. Yeah, and silver screen, same idea. So where we're at right now. Oh, I need to mention this too. We brought in Phaser. I've also, in between when we started, I built a quick AI controller for the game engine. So the way it's working now, the AI controller is bound to the Corbin unit. So Corbin's going to make his own choices, and he's going to do stuff. It's going to be completely random. It's nothing crazy where I'm actually using like artificial intelligence. It's just pretty much enumerating all the choices Corbin could actually make, roll dice and assigning it to his move. So he's going to do weird stuff like tackle himself and different things. So it'll be interesting. It'll be to see that kind of stuff happen. So it looks like Corbin used haste on himself. So I actually don't have auras showing up yet. So that's maybe a half step backward from where we were with React, but I don't think it'll be that big of an issue. Let's take a quick look at the AI controller though. So we can talk about what's going on. So as we can see, we're creating a function. This is a factory function that's going to create some sort of controller. And the way our controllers work in terms of our battle engine is this is where it's like creating a distinct line between where our battle engine, like where the churning of data starts and stops. So the engine at some point is going to say, okay, I need a move now for this unit. All those choices about, well, what's this unit going to do is being delegated to our controllers. And for let's side by side here actually. Let's get our human controller on screen. So this human controller is just pretty much taken from the stuff we did with React. I think we were calling it React controller before. But the idea for the human controller is we'll actually expose an interface for our UI to interact with to say, okay, the user has selected this unit. The user has selected this move, for example. So that's the way the human controller works. And Corbin's stopping by to say hi. Hey, Corbin. Hope you're doing well, sir. I'll talk to you later. Hope you have a good one. So our human controller choices from a human and kind of like pushing along things step by step. So we're going to first like figure out what move they want, and then depending on the move they chose, we might need to choose a unit. Down the road, we might choose some other things. So yeah, and yeah, Corbin, we have switched from React to Angular. So just trying to move a little bit faster, and had a really good time with React. But yeah, just wanted to go with something more familiar for now. So yeah, that's nothing personal against React. But yeah, moving on to something else. Looking at our AI controller here. So the idea is very similar. Like if we look at our controller interface, the big thing we want from our controller is the ability to select a move choice. So in a human controller, we're letting like the AI or the UI drive things. The human's going to pick on a button. The human's going to click on a unit. In those cases, we need to call our controller's methods to let it signify, okay, these things have been called, which will then like tell the controller then to like give the battle engine its move, and then the battle engine can kind of keep going, can keep churning. So, and then so for the AI controller, we're not kind of taking those steps. We're doing something different. We're going to say we're select a move choice. So similar to what we were doing before, but we're going to say we're going to figure out who our unit is just by looking at the battle. So that's going to be based on the performer's ID. We're going to figure out what moves they have, just mapping our move IDs to the move descriptions. That's part of our battle engine, so that's being passed in as well. And then we're just going to enumerate all of our choices. So this is just kind of doing that. So we'll see. This kind of gets weird, as most reduces do, but we're going to say that if the move, so we're going to do this for each move. If the move doesn't actually have any controller steps, so a controller step was like once you selected a move, you didn't need to select any unit to use it. It would just be an empty array. You did, however, have to want to select a unit to use this move on, like tackle. If Corbin used tackle to choose which you wanted to do it on. This array would look like just a single string inside of here that would be called unit. So if the controller steps length is 0, just concat onto our accumulator just the move ID. Like all it is, the only decision that was made was they selected this move ID, and that's all we needed from them. However, if that's not the case, we're going to take the accumulator, we're going to concat onto it a new array. We're going to take for now, that change when we get more complex. But for right now, we're saying, well, anytime you have to select a unit, you can just select any unit, including yourself. So we're going to take all the units on our battle, and we're going to map each one of those to a new object that's going to use that move ID and going to make a target IDs of just that unit's ID. And this, like if we look at the board here, when it's Corbin's turn, he's going to have a set of choices to make. Let's actually set a breakpoint inside of here so we can see some of this going out. I open up our AI controller. Let's just set breakpoint there, and let's refresh, and we should be able to see this kind of stepping through all these different things. So right here, the game's just starting up, and Corbin has the first choice, so he's going through his choices right now. I'm going to actually put a breakpoint here, leave, because here the should have been all assembled. So let's just play here, and we're here. Now, if we look at choices, we'll see. Let's build this out a bit more. Yeah, so going and looking at our choices, we can see we can choose to hasten ourselves. We can choose to burn on ourselves, target ID 1 or target ID 2. We can choose to ember on target ID 1 or target ID 2. Or we could choose to time bomb on target ID 1 or target ID 2. Cool. So based off that, we're just going to choose a random index off of this on the choice's length and say that was the choice. And so that's like the AI brilliance we're working with today. So yeah, there's we missed what Corbin chose there. I'm guessing he used Time Bomb on. I can't actually tell if it was him or Zach, but yeah, he chose something, and now it's Zach's turn. So Zach is going to choose. Let's say we're going to burn, and we'll go through the same thing. Oh, let's actually remove some of these. I didn't think I was using. And now it's very small, but it's telling me to select a unit. So I can select Corbin, and he instantly dies. So it's a great game, as you can tell here. But this kind of gets into what we want our phaser engine to do, right? So right now we have this little skeleton on screen. Don't know if y'all can see him inside of this area. So this square here is what phaser is doing for us. And we want this skeleton to represent, I don't know who yet, either Corbin or Zach, probably Corbin, because he's facing that direction. So we want like one unit on the screen to represent each one of our heroes. And we're going to want to create this API where we're going to say, okay, Corbin, go attack Zach. And that's the only thing we should expose to like the Angular side of things, or the battle engine side of things. I'm not really sure how that's all going to play out yet, but it should be very discrete. But as soon as we call that, it's kind of like I don't know if we'll return a promise or an observable, but what we'll want to do is say, okay, we're going to send out this command, and then we're going to receive this promise back, and we're going to wait until that promise is complete. And what that's going to tell us is, okay, our unit, the unit on the canvas is going to go walk over to this other unit, hit them, and then walk back. And then when we're back, we're going to like resolve the promise to let us know, okay, now we can move along. So yeah, it should be pretty interesting to try to get this to work. And I think it won't be all that bad. I did have, let me bring up Twitter here real quick. I did have on Twitter, I posted over the weekend. I think I posted it at night so no one saw it. But yeah, let's see. I've got this, I had this old project that I had up. Yeah, let's go in here. So this is open source. Y'all can all check it out. Let me throw it in the chat here. There we go. So this is an old example I did a couple of years back now. But the idea it was just kind of like getting some stuff up with Angular and Phaser working together. And I actually took this app the other night and just put it up on Firebase hosting. So here's how it works. This is just a very simple example, but we're based on, like, well, it kind of tells you what you can do here. We can hover over so these are kind of like game objects here. I believe these are sprites. I'd have to look, but I think this is just like a logo sprite for both of these. They just have different images that they're showing up. Let me make that a little bit bigger. Too big. So by hovering over it, we can make it explode. So this is all phaser stuff with like a cool like particle emitter going off of things, and like physics driving how it's like going to fall and stuff like this. And we can do some stuff like programmatically add some more sprites onto the screen, put them at a certain location by pressing the A button or the L button. And once something's hovered, we can press D to explode it, or we can press Q and sort of everything explodes. So it's neat. I don't want to kind of go through all the code because I want to actually try to do some stuff today. But yeah, this is a fun little project. And if you're interested in Phaser, definitely go check this out. And yeah, I'm just kind of playing around with the different things you can do with Angular and Phaser coming together. Oh, let's see. Sorry, Ellie, I've missed your comment, but We're getting to it now. Interesting. Seems using promises to resolve those actions could be used to speed up gameplay. Yeah. So that's and there's like there's considerations here too. Like I think for now I'll probably want to just make it so, I just wait for however slow the animation is to to finish. So it'll be pretty slow, but we'll definitely want to have considerations for excuse me, like speeding up that. So if the user starts pressing space bar, it starts going at like 5 times speed or something like that. Or maybe we just introduce a mode where we just don't even have the animations. Just I think the original Pokemon did something like that, where you could disable all the animations and that would speed things up. For the serious Pokemon player, So anyways, let's see if we can get to this. So let's go back to our markdown file. We talked about all the things, I think. Now let's try to actually do something. So let's see if we can define an interface for our I don't know, our API. We'll just call it for now. So yeah, for now, I've just been messing with things just a bit. So if I look at my NX workspace here, I'm going to go into my libs. This kind of needs some cleaning up because it's just got a bunch of Angular and React stuff alongside each other. But all my Angular stuff is kind of in this battle lib. And I believe I had a file in here. Battle scene. Okay. So this is what we're working with currently. Let me get rid of this so we can just focus on it for a little bit. Let me expand some of this stuff. So we're going to be exporting a function that creates a phaser game. I'm actually thinking we actually don't want to expose that part of it, just because we want to, inside of this file, what I'd love to do is get to a point where like you don't even necessarily need to know that this is phaser that we're wrapping up. So that's kind of the goal there. So I'll probably change the way this works a little bit. We'll still have to, we'll still be using phaser. We'll still be creating all this stuff. So the way phaser works is we're going to create a config object, and then we're going to call new phaser game. And what that is going to do is looking at our config here, and this is actually kind of tricky if you haven't done it before. But if you don't pass it if you don't pass phaser a target, a canvas target, for example, or a parent, I think it's canvas or parent that you could set inside of your config. It's just going to like put a canvas or I think it will put like WebGL stuff. I don't really understand that side of the stack, so I'm just kind of like leaning on phaser for a lot of this. But by setting either the parent, you're telling phaser where to initialize. And if you don't provide one of those, it's just going to kind of take your HTML and put it at the bottom of your HTML. So by taking this canvas target, we'll see here that's the one parameter we're passing to our phaser game right now. We're saying, okay, when we make our new phaser game, go ahead and attach it to that canvas. Let's take a look at our battle area real quick. We can see how this is playing out. So I'll put this on the right-hand side of the view, and we'll need to look at our HTML as well. So let's see, what is this all doing? Okay, so this is the battle area component. If we think of it, if I can, it's not going to inspect very well, but if y'all could just take my word for it, there's a grid here. There's like a CSS grid. So there's like one large thing across. There's one narrower thing going up and down, another narrower thing going up and down. And this whole thing in the middle is the battle area. So I'm not sure exactly how we want the final thing to work, but the way it's working right now is we'll throw the canvas at the top, and we'll just put in, this is if we're in like the select move state of a controller, we'll go ahead and show our buttons at the bottom. So if we go over here, let's refresh so we can actually do some stuff. You see the buttons are just coming in directly underneath the canvas here when it's X's turns to choose something. Oops. I don't know what I did there. But yeah, so that's those buttons. And if we click on something here, we'll get like the feedback, select a unit by clicking on them. That's very small. Twitch problems. Anyways, so yeah, that's everything going on in the battle area. But you'll notice there's a component up top that's putting an ID of phaser target here. We're going to use the view child here to say that this canvas target is an element ref. And when we create our phaser game, we're going to do that inside of the ng on init lifecycle hook. We're just going to pass the native element of that element ref. And that's kind of the one piece of tying these things together I think we want to do between our Angular and our phaser. And there's going to be more that we'll want to expose here too. And that's kind of getting at what we were talking about. So going back to our battle scene, let's put it over, that's too fragmented. Let's put everything back on one screen. And let's think about just what we want this file to expose, or this API to expose. I think if we're doing what we had said, say we're going to export an interface, and we'll just call this battle scene for now. We really don't care, I don't think, about the phaser game. I don't think. We'll see, maybe we will at some point. But I think what we'd want to do is we'd want to have some, probably some observer. Let's say we have is being hovered. I don't know. That's probably not a great name. But we'll say that this is an observable of a Boolean. So that would be, the idea is, let's say unit is being hovered here. Unit is being hovered, and this will be actually an observable of a string or null. Okay, that makes more sense, I think. So from the battle scene, let's say we were hovering over our skeleton. We'd probably want to let the UI know, so the UI could take like whatever unit is being hovered and maybe put some heads up display around it. So like in our example here, if I put a logo on screen, I'm actually like popping up right next to the cursor this little web element to the side. So the web element says AOA logo 12. And that's just like the random ID that we assign to this. So the idea is if we were hovering it, we'd want to have the observable emit a string that could identify the unit that's being hovered. If no unit is being hovered, we'd probably want to just so if we go from hovering over a unit right here, we want to emit the unit's ID. And right here, as soon as we get off of them, we're going to want to emit a null. And that will kind of let us, so Angular could then just like render that div or not and put it where it needs to be based on the cursor location. I think that's how we're doing it in the example. But yeah, it would be kind of simple to just lock into that. And on a similar note, I think we could just do like unit is being hovered is one thing, unit clicked could be another observable, which would be an observable of a string. So looking at our example again, if we click an icon inside of the example, it's just I think this is using ng bootstrap. So just having like the standard modal show up from ng bootstrap and putting the logo inside, and if we click X, it's just going to disappear. But like Angular's managing all that stuff, but it's kind of like this is the interactivity between phaser and Angular. We're wanting to take and expose. So that's another good thing to have, I think. The other thing we'll want to do is we'll want to give it some method here for like giving it some sort of action to execute. I don't really know what we really want this to be, but I know we want something. So we'll just give this like a method, and we'll call it like perform action, I think. And so this would be X is any. This is heresy if some of y'all, like really big types of people, are watching, but we need to pass something in there. Let's put a note in. So need to define the kind of like a scene action. Maybe we can get into that later. The scene action. What's the right word for this? It's like a protocol almost, right? Like we're going to want to say, like for some moves, we're going to want to show like tackle. We'll want them to move over right next to the other unit, like lunge at them a little bit, maybe have the other unit flicker a little bit, and then come back. And for that, we'll need to know like who should the attacker be, who should the defender be. So this is all things that need to be defined inside of our parameters here. And like what should the animation be, like what should the actual attack animation be, and then and all this stuff. Like another move we'll want to do at some point is like firing a laser beam. Like it should be the unit should actually stay still, the attacker should stay still, like fire a projectile over, and then when the projectile hits and everything's over, then you call it done. So it'll be interesting to figure out how all this works. But we'll say that for now, this returns a promise. Almost doesn't matter what we get back, I think. Maybe we could just put a promise of void, so we can just like resolve with nothing as long as it's getting resolved. I don't know. We'll leave it like this for now. So that'll be our perform action. And yeah, I think that may be all we really want to expose at this point. See if we can figure out how this piece is all working. So let's go to the phaser examples here. I'm going to see if I can find the one I identified as one that would be really cool to use. So if I go back to examples, I think there it is. It's this depth sorting one. I actually don't care about the depth sorting thing. It's or the isometric pieces of it, even though that's cool. So if you're interested in doing something similar, Ellie or anyone else watching, lots of cool examples for pretty much any use case on phaser.io. So very neat there. But yeah, if we look at what this game is doing, so here you can see there's the config object. Here's where it gets created. Then we're doing some stuff here. So this is kind of the way I see it. It's not kind of structured explicitly this way, but it's pretty much a closure going on here. We're defining this class. So here's the directions, which is like a map, naming the different directions someone could be facing. We have the different animations our skeleton units could be performing. Let's try refresh and see if that'll help get this up. I think they may be having problems. There we go. Yeah, so you see in this example, I think the camera's just going back and forth very slowly as like the skeleton units kind of perform their animations and like do a little bit of like very simple pathing. So yeah, like we'll probably want to have something very similar here. I don't know if we'll really need directions. We pretty much just want to be saying, are they facing right or are they facing left? Because I kind of see oops, kind of see this as like, here's all the units from the one team on the left hand side over here, and here's all the ones on the right hand side over here. But yeah, and going to back to here, we'll definitely want something like this, the animations. So we'll just be using, I think we'll just use the skeleton asset for now to kind of get a lot of our stuff set up initially, because it's got like the whole set. I think that's an idle animation over here. We got some other ones doing a walk. I think there's one, these two are attacking each other over here. And I think this one's dying. This one's just like perpetually dying right there. So yeah, it's got pretty much everything we need. And then going more with the closure idea, this is like the collection of all our skeletons. And inside of our preload, so Phaser's set up like not that unsimilarly to Angular, where you have like these lifecycle hooks. That's it's called. This is my best mental model of everything that's happening. But preload is kind of like ng on init. Maybe not. Maybe that's not a great example. But the idea is preload. You're going to pass in all the things you'll need to load, all your assets you'll need for the game. So we're kind of doing that. The example's doing that here. We've got our sprite sheets for our grass and our water. So that's everything for the background and to like load up the tiles. We're not going to be worried about that too much. We're going to be looking at the skeleton. So if I pull this up, I'm just going to copy that URL here. I think I go to Phaser. I think it's examples.phaser. And paste in our assets. Oh, maybe it's not working. I don't know. Let's try refreshing. Oh. I don't know. Maybe they are having problems. I don't know. Somewhere that skeleton exists though. But you'll see it's a sprite sheet, so it's pretty much just a PNG file, and it's separated into like these little rectangles, really. And the Phasers has some nice stuff for just loading up a sprite sheet. And by doing this right here, we're pretty much loading up everything we need for a skeleton animation. And you'll see here on the anims object, so everything's a skeleton, so everything's using the same sprite sheet. But you'll see like idle, we're going to use frames 0 through 4 inside of our sprite sheet here. So I guess that's like a 3-frame, I'd guess, animation that's just going to loop back and forth. Walk is going to be the next one, starting with 4 and ending at 12. Attack, same thing all the way through. So yeah, and we even have shoot. That would be great for like a projectile type. Everything's here. Phaser's got everything. It's really neat. So yeah, we'll just shamelessly take this and we'll have our animations preloaded for us. When we get to the point where we actually have our own assets and units and all that stuff, we'll start using that. But for now, skeletons look great. So we'll just use all this, flagrantly steal the preload function and just put it in there. Inside create, maybe the create is more like the ng on init. Maybe preload is kind of like the constructor and it's like dependency injection, all that crap. I don't know. I'm making up these analogies as I go. But when we call create, we're going to want to set our scene. And remember, we declared a scene up towards the top, I believe. Where'd that scene go? Yeah, right here. So, sticking with the idea of a closure, this is kind of making sense. We're gonna like set in memory what our scene is, being passed from the creates function context. And we're going to declare the skeleton. Again, we'll probably just shamelessly steal this for now because, well, I think we'll probably actually have to modify this just a little bit because we're going to want to. So it's going to pass in, a lot of this stuff is just the way Phaser works. So I don't think we're going to mess with a lot of this too much. But we're pretty much passing in for the skeleton. They definitely need the scene. So we can attach things to the scene. Let's see here. We'll need to have sort of like that context alongside things. But we'll set an initial X position and an initial Y position. And then we're going to describe the motion. Let's see. Where does motion get used aside from this? Okay, so motion is just like what animation to use. Okay, that makes sense. Then direction is going to be which direction are they facing. And speed, I guess that's like at what pace they're moving. You can see this one's moving this way, this one's moving that way. And distance, I think, is just like, I think what they're doing is pretty much setting them, putting them in an XY position, pointing them in a direction, and then the distance is just going to be, okay, walk from here to that distance and then come back. And then just keep like looping back and forth in that. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. So like things are getting set up here to just like do all these things. You'll see phaser.gameObjects.image.call. This is kind of how everything's being hooked up on the phaser side. So here's our, this is referring to our skeleton class, I guess. The scene is like the phaser scene, X and Y, we already know. Skeleton is going back to the sprite sheet that we called skeleton right here. And direction.offset, I guess that's like isometric stuff, I'm thinking. I don't, that piece doesn't actually make much sense to me right now. And yeah, this dot F nm.starFrame. So yeah, I guess this is all starting to make sense, I believe. And then let's see, right here, I think depth is just to show which should overlap what. So I think that's more of the isometric stuff that just not too concerned about for our game at this point. But this time.delayed call, I'm thinking the nm speed. I'm guessing this is just the speed at which you progress from one frame to the next. I guess we'll figure it out. But so we're going to say that much times 1000, and then this dot change frame. I guess that's this function here. Not sure what this parameter is going to do. Obviously, it's not super important. And then, okay, so let's see. If we change frame, okay, I think this is pretty much makes sense. We're just going to start. Okay, we're going to start with the start frame. We're just going to increment it. Somewhere we're probably checking to see if this is at the end of its range, and we'll reset it to its start again. Delay is equal to the speed. Yep, that's what we were kind of assuming. And yeah, this is exactly like I said. If we're at the end frame, I guess each different animation has its own instructions of what to do if we hit the end frame. So for walk, we'll go back to the start frame, and I guess we'll set the texture for our current frame. So F must be like the integer saying which step we're on, and frame will be like the actual image that we've chunked out from our sprite sheet. Then okay, and then we're just going to recursively call change frame, I guess. That's kind of what's going on here. So we'll delay, we'll make a delayed call, and then we'll call change frame again. And so this will just kind of, this is kind of like the game loop, the isolated loop, I think, for the one target. So that's all if we're on the end frame. Otherwise, we're just going to, I guess, advance to the next one and loop. So that's cool. Get that. We're setting the animation. Is that getting called here? I don't know what reset animation does. Let's see if we can find it. Find, let's see, set animation. Oh, it is getting called. Okay, okay, okay. I wonder why we have to call reset animation for attack. Probably because I guess attack has a start and an end that don't flow well together. Yeah, looking at this guy attacking. I don't know. It seems like it kind of loops back to the front. I don't know. There must be something about those animations that require a reset. So, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. And then update. I think update's just going to, let's see. Is this update getting called anywhere? Okay, so update is what is like a almost like an ng on change lifecycle hook for the phaser engine, I believe. And yeah, so here we're the top level update. We're just setting on our config. And this is the skeletons update. So I think for each update cycle, we're going to loop. We're going to say for every skeleton, let's update the one skeleton. And if their motion is walk, so I guess they're only changing their X and Y if they're walking. I guess that makes sense. Would be weird to have a moving, dying skeleton. But yeah, we're going to just take their direction and multiply it by speed. Okay, so we're just going to displace them a little bit as we're moving through their thing as well. So that's interesting. Update is responsible for moving their X and Y coordinates slowly over time on each render, it seems. But there's like a separate system here for handling the frames going back and forth. That's interesting. I would have assumed that would be the same function, but yeah, I don't know. I don't work a lot with game engines, so maybe this is just how things are done. Walk far enough. Okay, and this will just set them to revert. I think we'll see this guy like stop and turn around in a second here for this walked far enough thing. Yeah. Okay, so once they reach their threshold, they're just going to turn around, keep going, but in the opposite direction. All right. Then I don't really care about building the map, replacing the houses right now. It looks like we're just defining a whole bunch of skeletons. So this is pretty cool. I think this is getting to like some cool declarative stuff where we're declaring a skeleton and all of its behavior and just going to like let it go and let phaser take care of everything. So this is what I want to happen for the most part. But I want to like conditionally, going back to our API, like whenever this perform action gets called, I want them to move around a little bit in the way I want. But let's try to do this. So we'll say create. Let's change the name of this to create battle scene. And we'll say this returns a battle scene. Excuse me. We'll say at the bottom of this, a lot of this is just copied and pasted over from the example we were just looking at. I was going over the other day. But we'll say, let's just copy this and throw it down here, and we'll fill it out. So unit is being hovered. We'll just say of null, of null for now. Got to import that. It's imported. It doesn't like the semicolon. Unit clicked. We'll say, I think I'll just put empty here for now. Doesn't like empty. Is that deprecated? What? Everything's changing. Oh, just image complete, nothing else. Huh. I don't know. Let's leave it there for now. It looks like it's deprecated, but it'll still work for our purposes. And then perform action, we'll just have the promise resolved immediately. Let's just try that. Promise dot resolve. go. Our API has been satisfied. Well, we'll actually want to implement this though as a real thing. Let's see if we can try to get unit as being, or unit clicked. Let's see if we can actually try to implement that now, because we've got a unit on board here. Let's see. Is this create? Oh, okay. I changed the name and it doesn't like that. Let's go. We'll have our battle scene open. We'll have our battle area component open elsewhere. And change the name of this to create battle scene. Create a battle scene. Pass in the canvas target. Let's make a new thing, a new property on our class here. So we can say battle scene is a battle scene. Inside of our ng on init, we'll say this dot battle scene equals the results of our create battle scene. And let's see. I think so. Right now, let's find where we're putting that one skeleton on the screen. So here's our one skeleton. See if we can do something here where we click it. Let's at least try to get like a window alert to pop up before time's up, so we can say we did something. I think we want to go, and I'll probably look at my code from that example we were looking at earlier. We'll want to say this dot add image. How did I do it in my example? I think I did it much more object oriented, where I think the scene, I was extending a phaser scene and adding observables onto that. I don't really, looking at that architecture now, I don't think I really like it. I think I definitely want to do more of what I'm trying to do here, where the interface I'm returning back to Angular is like, doesn't actually know it's using phaser, right? So I don't know. So let's say in logo click, let's see how let me pull up the example code I'm looking at real quick. If we just look at logo clicked, let's find all what that is defined. I think I'm actually using like the Angular emitter here, which is kind of cool. I'll probably just use the subject here if I actually do it. But okay, so we're creating the new logo sprite. I wonder if we'll want to do something like this for our skeleton, maybe. So I had a whole other class here for logo sprite, and that might make sense. It's more object oriented than I may like, but I think it'll get us pretty far in terms of just letting this kind of stuff happen. But let's see, where's the click happening? Where's the click? Is it not? Does it not itself click? It's emitting a highlighted. But yeah, let's see. If we go to our example scene, pointer down, looks like it's created. I wonder if we could just add this on to our skeleton. Let's see if we can do that. So if we say here, we'll definitely need to. So right now we have the canvas target. That should be like, it should be typed. So it should be like a is this a thing? I think it's a canvas HTML, or is it HTML canvas element? Yeah. So we'll want that. I think we'll probably want like most of the battle engine here, at least the battle. Let's say for now, let's just pass in the battle. Because we'll want to be able to put in the different units in here. Then in terms of our skeleton, let's see. Inside of this initialize, I wonder if we can just add in here like the unit ID. I don't think this will muck with anything. I think there's nothing like uniquely phaser-ish about this initialize function. If I said like inside of this closure, where are these things getting set? Oh, they're getting set at the top level. Huh. Oh, are they? Oh, yeah, they're extending the image. Extending the image. Huh. Okay. Well, I'm not quite sure how to make this happen then. I guess we could maybe just hard code our skeleton to work. Where are we actually um where are we actually adding the skeleton to the game? So our particle emitter. Okay. Add existing. So let's say constant skelly. That's our one guy for now. We'll do like this. Keep a reference to him around, or to it around. I guess the skeleton doesn't have a gender. Oh, do skeletons have gender? I don't know. Hard to tell. We'll put it that way. So we'll say that, but can we do skelly dot on? Then on, well, I think it was called pointer down. Take a look at our other project and just see how that was happening again. On pointer down. Okay, so we're going to want to emit this out of our, probably want to make a subject and have it emit. Let's do that. So at this top higher level, we'll say constant unit clicked, unit click. And let's do that to make sure people know it's private. Say this is a subject of a string. We need to import subject, just an RxJS subject here. New. There we go. So we'll say skelly dot on pointer down. How does this go? Was this just like regular callback? Yeah, just a regular callback. So we'll just call next on our subject. So units underscore click dot next. We'll just put a 1 because we'll say that skeleton is whoever our unit ID 1 is. And I think in here we'll say unit clicked instead of being empty. We'll just export our unit click dot as observable. And that should be enough to get this working, I think. So inside of here, we'll just put this inside of on init. This wants it to be, dang it, HTML, canvas elements. Oh, and it wants the battle to come over too. Okay, well, that's fine. We'll just say, that's actually not going to work super well. Let's just get rid of the battle inside of our factory function since we're not using it yet. This is something we'll have to think about because we actually want to, like that battle is going to be changing. Maybe we want to pass in the observable to the battle so our battle scene could kind of be aware of the different changes as it goes. It may need to know that. I don't know. It's like we could pass in the observable to like the whole thing, pass the whole context over, or we could just define a nicer API that just says, here's a few discrete events that could happen. Like a unit dying, for example. That could be a thing where we want to play a specific animation. And we could definitely tell if that was happening if we just passed in an observable of the battle, but it may be easier to just like, I don't know, like call a method on our scene. I don't know. We'll figure this out as we go. For now, though, we'll stick with this. So now we'll have our battle scene inside of our Angular component. So we'll say this battle scene. We'll just subscribe to it kind of kind of like naively, maybe is a good word here. So we'll say unit ID window.alert. We'll just say pass in the unit ID was clicked. There you go. Let's see if this works. See if this works. So we're in our game. We've got our skeleton unit. If I click on it, nothing's happening. Let's see. Something went wrong here. Probably something with the way Phaser's set up. I feel like the on click might not be working. Let's try. Let's try it. So let's go inside of our. Not what I wanted. Let's go inside of our battle scene. Phaser.ts. So really it's right here. Set a breakpoint here, see if we can get this to fire. And let's see, pointer down. Doesn't appear to be working. So at least now we know where things are falling down. See if we look at our example, maybe we can pattern match to figure out what we did wrong. Pointer down. Look at our battle scene. Oops. I think this is looking all the same. Let me put this over to the side so I can test. Check it out. So yeah. New sprite. Let's see. If I call, what does this get called? Huh. This is our skeleton extends GameObjects.image. I thought for sure the GameObject.image had a sort of on handler. We'll see if we can figure it out. Yeah, so it's kind of hard to tell with some of the stuff. The API for Phaser is just so massive. I don't know. We may have to surrender here. I'll figure some stuff out later. But yeah, I think we need to do something. So like this is all the different stuff that an image could do. It should definitely be able to have like an on, like a listener for these basic events, like a click. Size, frame, set frame. I feel like I just need to get more familiar with the Phaser API for a lot of this. But set all these sets. Yeah. No, I don't know. Creating our new skeleton. So saying for this particular skeleton on. I wonder if we can try this with just the something else. Pointer down. Unit.click next. Yeah. Not sure why this wouldn't work. Definitely something where this handler is wrong. Either the name is wrong, or it's just my understanding of the API is off here. Let's try. Let's see. Looking at my example here, what's going on with the hovers? Maybe we can pointer over. I wonder if I needed to do it here. We say this. So here's the scaling. Copy. Oh, I didn't think we'd need to do this, but say this dot on, I think it was pointer or hover. And just like try a console log here. It'll tell us if maybe we're just missing something. So yeah, let's save that, give it a shot. Getting paused in the AI, choosing what to do. Let's see. I wonder if that emitter, particle emitter, is like clogging things. Like if I'm hitting the emitter instead, that would be kind of silly. Let's try just getting rid of the emitter. So I'm creating this emitter right here, this particle emitter, which is a really nice API that you get out of Phaser, and they rightfully so have it on their basic example. I'm just going to try to remove it and see if that fixes what ails us. I don't think it will. I think it's definitely something about me not understanding something about the API. But I'm on the unit now. Is anything coming up in the console? No, none of my events are firing off of this unit as I would have expected it to. So I'm definitely missing something. I'll take the time between streams to see if I can figure that out, and we'll take up here tomorrow. So thanks y'all for stopping by, for checking out some Phaser with me, for figuring out. I think we've got like a good handle on what we want the API to be. I think over the next week or so, like the interesting part is going to be figuring out how we want this protocol to work for telling our battle scene, dispatching actions almost to the battle scene, telling it what to do. It's going to be kind of interesting to play out, to see how that all works. Actually, I don't think it'll be that complicated. Actually, I think it's we could do it pretty simply. So figuring out how to hook these things up so we can actually get like better objects, better API for me as I'm developing this, just to make sure I'm fully understanding everything. So I don't need to understand everything about Phaser, but I definitely need to understand everything about what I want to do here with Phaser. So just like sending units around the board, and having them do what they need to do, that kind of thing. I feel like we've got most of that already. So it's just a matter of filling in a few gaps and we'll be good. So thanks y'all for stopping by, and I'll look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow on ZLS 046. Bye now.